I am 100 years old. Stop waiting for your children to call. Do this instead. You know what I keep thinking about? I keep thinking about my 100th birthday. 100 years old. You hear me? A whole century of living. I have buried a husband, buried friends, buried a sister I loved more than most people love anybody. I have worked jobs that broke my body and raised children that broke my heart. And I kept going anyway, because that is just what you did. And on the morning of my 100th birthday, I woke up in a quiet house. No smell of breakfast somebody else made. No footsteps. No knock on the door. Just me and the birds outside, and the clock on the wall doing what it always does. My youngest son sent a text message around 10 in the morning. "Happy birthday, Mama," with a little cake picture next to it. My middle son called that evening and talked for maybe 4 minutes. I could hear his television the whole time. My oldest sent a card that came 2 days late with a gift card inside and just his name printed at the bottom. Not even Love Mike, just Mike, like he signed a work form. That was my 100th birthday. And I know some of you are sitting there right now feeling something similar. Maybe it was not a birthday. Maybe it was Christmas. Maybe it was just a regular Tuesday when you realized you had not heard from your kids in 3 weeks, and you were the one who called last time and the time before that. You pick up that phone and you dial and it rings, and you leave a message. "Hey baby, just checking on you. Call me back when you get a chance." And then you wait. You wait through dinner and through the evening news, and you fall asleep waiting. And first thing in the morning you check that phone before your feet even hit the floor. Nothing. Lord, I know that feeling. Now I have to tell you something, and I need you to stay with me because it might sting a little. Stop calling them. I mean it. Put the phone down. Stop leaving voicemails into the silence. Stop sending cards to people who cannot find 2 minutes to write your name back. Stop setting that extra plate at the table every Sunday hoping this is the week somebody shows up. Because here is what I had to learn the hard way after decades of doing all of that. If you have to keep reminding your child that you exist, they already forgot. And every time you call again, every time you show up in their notifications sounding lonely and sad and desperate for a crumb of their attention, you are not pulling them closer. You are teaching them to see you as a burden. And people run from that. Even your own blood. They feel it like pressure and they pull away, and you chase harder and they run faster, and the whole thing just gets worse. I raised 3 sons. I am not chasing anybody. Now I already know what you do at night. You lay there in the dark going through every mistake you ever made. Maybe I was too hard on him when he was young. Maybe I worked too much. Maybe I should have said "I love you" out loud more instead of just showing it through everything I did. I did that for years, replaying the same tapes over and over. And they never changed no matter how many times I played them. Let me tell you something. You were not perfect. I was not perfect. There is not a mother alive who was perfect. But you were there. You kept the lights on and the refrigerator full, and you loved them the best way you knew how with what you had at the time. If they want to hold something against you from 30 years ago, that is their weight to carry. You cannot spend what little peace you have left paying for a past that is done. Forgive yourself. You did your job. The contract is done. So what do you do instead? That is what everybody wants to know. If I do not call them, what am I supposed to do? Just sit here? No. You get up and you go build yourself a life. I know that sounds simple and maybe even a little cold, but just hear me out. Around the time I was 97, I woke up one morning and something had shifted in me. I sat on the edge of my bed and I said, May, if you spend one more year sitting in this house waiting for people who have shown you who they are, you are going to die waiting. And I have not survived 97 years to die in a chair. So I called my neighbor Cora. She is 84 and acts like she is 40, and she has more energy than most people half her age. I told her I needed something to do on Thursdays. She said, "Get your coat." She took me to a community lunch at the church 2 blocks over. Just older folks eating good food and talking loud and laughing about things that happened 40 years ago. People with enough time to actually sit through a whole story without looking at their phones every 2 minutes. I went back the next Thursday, and the one after that. I started writing things down. Not a diary, really, more like letters. Letters to my husband who passed. Letters to the girl I used to be at 40 and 50 and 60. Things I never said out loud because I was always too busy holding everybody else together. I started letting people do things for me without feeling ashamed about it. That was honestly the hardest part. I spent 100 years being the one who does, the one who carries, the one who shows up. Sitting down and letting somebody else bring me a plate or drive me somewhere felt like losing. But it is not losing. It is just your turn. It is finally your turn to be on the receiving end of what you spent a lifetime giving everybody else. And you know what happened when I stopped waiting and started living? I got happy again. I stopped needing my sons to fill whatever hole was sitting in my chest. I just filled it myself. Now I have to be honest with you because I am too old to be anything else. Sometimes you do all of that and your children still do not come around. Sometimes they are just gone. Sometimes people are selfish even when they are your own blood, and there is nothing you can do about that except decide it is not going to take you down with them. You cannot force anybody to love you the way you deserve, but you can refuse to let their absence eat up what is left of your life. Because your life is not a waiting room. You are not here just to sit and hope somebody remembers you. 2 weeks after that birthday, my sons let pass with text messages and a card with no handwriting in it. Cora brought the whole Thursday lunch group to my house. 12 people crowded into my living room with a chocolate cake and the most off-key singing you have ever heard in your life. Not one of them was related to me, but every single one of them looked me in the eye when they sang. Every single one of them stayed until the food was gone. And when they left, they hugged me like they actually meant it. That is what I want you to understand. Family is not always who came out of your body. Sometimes family is just who shows up, and the only way they find you is if you stop hiding inside a quiet house waiting for the wrong people. My sons still call occasionally. I answer. I am kind. I am warm. I am not sitting here bitter and cold. But I am not waiting anymore. That is the only thing that changed. Before, every quiet day felt like proof that I did something wrong, like my whole life of giving meant nothing. Now, when the phone does not ring, I just make my tea and sit on my porch and go to Thursday lunch and let Cora make me laugh until my side hurts. I filled my own days. And that hole in my chest where I kept waiting for my sons to show up, it is not empty anymore. I filled it myself. So here is what I want to leave with you. You gave them everything you had. Your body, your sleep, your money, your best years. That is done now. It is over. Now you give to yourself. Find your Cora. Find your Thursday lunch. Find the thing that fills your days with something other than absence and silence and a phone you keep checking for no reason. Because you are still here, still breathing, still worth showing up for. Your children not calling does not make you less than. It just means you have been pouring yourself into cups that have holes in the bottom. Find the ones that hold what you give. Get up. Go live. You have waited long enough.